Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got a little bit of a problem with my goldfish eating their babies, so I'm going to be showing you how I make my little spawning mops so that when the eggs are laid and they hatch, the little fry have got somewhere to hide to protect themselves. I'm using brown acrylic yarn, and I've got some of this packaging which is like a soft squishy kind of spongy foam, but it floats in water. I've got a 2-litre soft drink bottle, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bottom off so that I can put my wool in there. So I've cut the top just like that so that it can open, and then all I'm doing is I'm just putting my ball of wool inside there, and then I'm going to thread it out of here so that it doesn't fall on the floor when I'm unwinding it. And I've got 2 pieces of cardboard which are 27 centimeters by 30 centimeters. Now it depends on how large your pond or fish tank is and how deep it is as to how long you want to make your mops. So I've cut 2 pieces because I've got my granddaughter who's going to be helping me make some mops for the ponds, and I'm using the top of a bottle cap, and all I'm doing is I'm putting it onto this soft foam and just pressing it down to give me an indentation like that, so I can cut around it. So we're going to cut 2 little discs out like that. We've cut our little discs out, so that's what they look like. They're quite nice and thick. They're about 2 centimeters thick, and then we're going to put those aside for the time being. And now we're going to take our yarn. I'm going to be using the shorter side because my pond is not very deep, and all we're going to do is take the yarn and just wind it around the piece of cardboard. You can go around as many times as you want. I like to do about between 50 and 60 turns, just so that it's got quite a nice bit of body to it. So once you've done your 60 strands around it, cut it off, and try and cut it off at the end. Don't cut it in the middle because we're going to be tying this all off. Now it's optional as to what color you want to use. You can either use green or brown. We've got all the yarn put onto our cardboard, and now all we're going to do is thread a spare little piece that we've just cut off, which is about 30 centimeters long, and then take it right to the top and tie that off. Doesn't have to be right at the top, just as long as it's in that position. It's preferable to do a double knot as well so that it doesn't come undone. And then we're going to go to the bottom of the wool and cut this section off. So we've cut the wool and we've opened it all out, and now we're going to take our wee little piece and put it in the center and then fold the wool around it so that it completely covers it like that. And then we're going to tie a spare piece of wool or yarn around that to make like a little mop. So when I tie it down, I like to go around twice so that it's got a nice tight little head on it like that, and then we just tie it. I cut the strands so that when I cut them off, they're the same length as the other ones. You can trim it down, but I like the different lengths as it looks a little bit more attractive when it's floating in the water. But I am going to trim my tying threads off like that. And now we're going to take our little mop heads and pour boiling water over them to sterilize them. For my little mops that I want weighted down, I just use these smooth pebbles and wrap them in exactly the same way as I do for the foam ones. I've placed the little mops into a bowl, and now we're going to just pour boiling water over them just to sterilize them before we put them into the pond. If you're working with children, make sure that they have got adult supervision to do this, because we are working with boiling water. And then just leave them in there for about 15 minutes. Our little mops have been soaking about half an hour now, and the water is quite nice and cool. So now we're going to squeeze them dry. When you're squeezing them dry, try and wear some gloves so that you don't put any germs or bacteria onto them. I've got the pond prepared, and now we're going to be putting the little mops in. They look identical, the only difference is one floats and one sinks. When I say sinks, it goes to the bottom and all the yarn floats upward so that they look like plants. So there my little mops are in the water, and these particular ones I've weighted down. To be quite honest with you, I don't know which of my fish are male or female. All I can tell you is one day I'll have hundreds of babies in there, and the next day none, because they've eaten them all. So I've just made these little mops for the babies to hide in, so they have a better chance of survival. And if I happen to see any eggs in the little mops, then I'll take them out and put them in a different pond for the eggs to hatch.